Hey everybody, what's going on? Glad you're here. Let's see here. Who do we got? We got Martin, Prodigal Galleon, Echo 26, JD, Gadalorian. What's up everybody on the YouTube? I am having trouble for some reason getting my Rumble to load again. I don't know why. Oh my gosh. Okay, so of course I forgot to get the text message ready. So we're all gonna do this together. It's a project, folks. Okay, chat. If you're in the chat, you gotta help me write the text message. We've got 30 seconds. What should I put for the Canary Cry .support part of the text message? What will let people know that they can support the show? You've got a few more seconds until I just scramble something out here. Let's see. There's always the classic V4V is the way to be. That's almost never works. Nobody responds to that, but I don't know what else to do. Here we go. This is why the V4V model is failing, folks, because I cannot figure out. We've got something for Gons is saying lizards. Okay, I'll just put lizards on there. Quote Gons. Hold on. Here we go. Lizards. Lizarks. Don't know why that's spelled out. Okay, lizards. Exclamation mark. Hyphen. Gons. That's just about as much as we had space for. All down to the single thing. All right, folks, we're going to get this show going. We have a prayer. We have a prayer that is ready to be played. We're going to play that in just a second. Just a reminder, it's up to you, dear producers, to go to canarycrynewstalk.com, canarycrynewstalk.com. Look for the green tab on the bottom of the right-hand side. Click on that. You can leave us a 90-second prayer that we'll be starting out the show with. We need more. We need an infinite amount of these prayers. So if you've done it once, don't think that you're done. It's up to all the producers out there. This is a great way to get involved with the show, to fill a need that the show has, and to bless your other producers, your other listeners there. canarycrynewstalk.com. Look for the green tab. Click on that. Leave a 90-second prayer for before the show. Kind of like this producer did right now.
Heavenly Father, thank you for the community and the camaraderie you have allowed us to experience, not only through the Canarium, but throughout all the world. Please, Lord, equip us so that we may properly execute your will. Help us to shine the light throughout all the world. Please, Lord, guide us to the places we need to be. Guide us with the words we need to say, and help us to comfort those who need to be comforted. In the name of our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. Amen.
The world is getting crazier. People are acting more and more insane. The end of the world is tomorrow. Tomorrow. There's only one thing to do when the world is falling apart. Listen to Basil and Gonz as they discuss this week's news and events through the lens of Bible prophecy. You are listening to Canary Cry News Talk.
You're listening to Canary Cry News Talk. Today is July 7th, 2023. We are live to tape on episode 643. And today, plain reptilian marbles. Signing on from Off the Grid, Razzle Dazzle. I'm your best buddy Basil.
And my name is Gons, director of the Age of Deceit Films, your favorite Asian provocateur for Christ. Live to tape from California, to bring you the best news, which is the gospel message of Jesus Christ, while reporting the egregious with a well-rounded, biblically grounded take on world events and today's emergent phenomena, soul crafting.
Ooh.
Soul crafting.
Shivers, Gons. Shivers.
Maybe another way of saying psychological operation.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Actually, that's a really good, it's like a spiritual operation. Which is
spiritual manipulation.
Right, right. Speaking of spiritual manipulation, let's go ahead and give that disclaimer for YouTube.
It's time for a disclaimer.
Now listen up, YouTube.
That's right. And just for all the content moderators and censorship managers out there, be they robots or humans, everything you hear on this show comes directly from the mainstream corporate news media. We do not claim to be experts on healthcare, geopolitics, military strategy, corporate law, or the moral and ethical implications of any of these topics, nor do we implicitly or explicitly support or subscribe to any sources or narratives containing misinformation, disinformation, or malinformation, as defined by the Department of Homeland Security. We're good boys. All right, YouTube, we're good boys. Let me give you a rundown.
Oh, look, here's Basil.
Let me bring you up to speed.
Well, you know it, folks. There are reptilians on planes, and it is taking over the minds and the narrative across the internet. What does this mean? Why suddenly do people care about reptilians on planes? We'll be exploring the phenomenon that's taken over Twitter and the rest of the internet the past couple days. And then, of course, a little catch up on sewer surveillance, our patented conspiracy theory regarding your toilet and Bill Gates. Then Flippy, he's big, he's small, and he's taken all of our jobs, including lab workers, counting worms. Yeah, very important update in the robotic arm space. Watch the space. We've got a couple of updates in regards to our favorite big pharma companies and some recent business moves into the technocratic future. Your DNA is at stake, folks. Watch out. And then keeping up with the WEF. That's another great name for like a sitcom. Keeping up with the WEF. Doo-doo-doo. His name is Klaus, and he's a guy, and he want to take your family away and put them in the safe cities. And then at the end of the show, we've got an update on Antarctica that I think really seals the deal on a lot of our more broad scope theories about Antarctica's placement as the utopia for rich white liberals and why you should move there and leave your family behind. But first, Guns, our lead story.
PSYOPs.
I have had it with these snakes on this plane.
We're going to try to find a way around this.
Look at that. Oh, Guns, put a little production work in here, huh?
Well, had to throw in a jingle because we need a jingle for airplanes and snakes and reptilians and
surely this is going to start happening more and more. So this is a jingle that's going to get a lot of use.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of airplane meltdowns, people yelling, people fighting over politics, a MAGA hat or a mask or all kinds of stuff. But
yeah, it's like a little microcosm.
Yeah, it seems like
anguish.
Ooh, you cut out bad. I did not hear you talking.
Don't worry about it.
Okay. Well, I was going to say that as the trust in our institutions continues to decline, I feel that the skepticism of the public, the void is being filled with theories that were once only the fringiest people, talking about. So I'm sure people know about this already, but let's do our own little analysis. This is the clip. I think it was like a 28-second clip. This one here is 26 seconds of a woman. She is very visibly distraught. A lot of profanity. I think it's bleeped out here, so earmuffs will not be necessary. Although you should talk to your children about what's going on here. But she is very frantically walking towards the front of the plane, and here is what she says.
I'm telling you, I'm getting the off, and there's a reason why I'm getting the off, and everyone can either believe it or they cannot believe it. I don't give two but I am telling you right now, that back there is not real. And you can sit on this plane and and you can die with them or not. I'm not going to.
Bye.
I like the guy. At
Lots
the
of
end.
beeps.
Bye.
Lots of beeps. Lots of beeps.
Lots of beeps.
Yeah. You know, she's definitely shaken. I'm sure everybody's seen the video so far, but younger gal, I don't know, maybe late 20s, something like that. She's literally shaking. She's the vocality, of course, you can hear it in her voice. I mean, I believe that she experienced something. You know,
do you?
can't. Yeah, she can't. It's hard to say that woman is faking how she feels.
Or she's gonna win an Academy Award next year, and it'll all come to light.
Yeah, sure.
But yeah, so first of all, in the clip, you know, we'll talk about the reptilian theory and all that, but
Did she actually say reptilian? She didn't say reptilian at all.
Anything about reptilian, nothing. She just says that person back there isn't real or is not real or whatever.
Yeah.
That's all she says. And so I think it's interesting to see that this clip, depending on who you saw it from, and I'll tell you who I saw this at least be shared on Twitter from. It was this guy named Dom Lucre.
Yeah, this guy, he is a professional Twitterer.
Mm-hmm. He's actually the Dom Lucre breaker of narratives. Did you know that? He's breaking narratives around here. He's he's truth bombing. Although he is, in his bio here, it says that he's I put homeless in homes. That's nice. He's a vet. He's former hip hop exec, Spaces host, and he's one of the 40 under 40. So yeah, there you go. And here's
40 under 40 for what?
I don't know. It doesn't say. Usually it's like a Forbes thing, isn't it?
Yeah,
you're like
Forbes,
chosen if
40
you're
under 40.
one of those
Right.
lists.
Yeah.
But okay, here's his tweet. Fire emoji. Emergency emoji. Just in. A passenger of this viral video is stating that this female believes she was sitting next to some sort of reptilian man in a green hoodie on this plane. A male passenger that was sitting 3 rows behind the incident claims that the man in the green hoodie winked at him horizontally after this ordeal, which I think means like the eyeball or the eye.
Yeah,
is
he meant vertically.
Vertically.
Yeah.
If someone can contact them, I would love to interview the man in the green hoodie. He wants to interview the reptilian or this woman on a Twitter Spaces to debunk this outrageous accusation.
Debunk. Yeah, get the woman making the accusation so you can debunk the accusation.
Yeah.
How would you debunk someone out of saying what they saw? I don't know. There's some breakdowns of the video where they slow it down. They show the guy she's talking about. There's just a few frames. He is kind of a weird looking guy, but you know, and he's wearing a green shirt with a hoodie, which, look, who knows? Maybe she is afraid of flying. She took some psilocybin to help cure her PTSD.
Microdosing. There's a lot of microdosing going on today.
Microdose on the plane.
Yep.
I could see with a little microdose on the plane, which, you know, whoopsie daisies, maybe it was a macro dose. He does have sort of a lizard-like feel about him, mostly because he's wearing a Kermit-colored sweatshirt with the hood up. And then in the slow-mo versions of the video, you know, there's always the issue of grainy, blurry footage, slowed down, making people's, you know, the details hard to pick out, especially on people's eyes and faces, where, you know, somebody's pupils aren't exactly circular or whatever. And so that's evidence that there's some sort of lizard person. I don't know. Maybe he is a lizard person.
Well, I got accused of that one time. Somebody made a video of my talking on camera like this, and they were like, look at his eyes. Look at how they crumple. Yeah. And it was like, oh, yeah, the pixelation of my eyes is definitely proof that I'm a lizard man.
That's why I wear the VR headset with the googly eyes, so nobody can see my lizard eyeballs. You know, over in reptilian school, I never passed shapeshifting class. So,
yeah, that'll be a twist if you're the reptilian. Yeah. So part of this also, just as the social media phenomenon that this is, I think it's worth mentioning that on TikTok, there's this thing that, and I'm sure you've seen this, Basil, where people act out. They do skits surrounding a viral story. So there's a guy that came out, and I think this Dom Craig guy, what he's basing some of his tweet on is some guy that said he was in the plane, he saw the whole incident and blah, blah, blah. And he's the one that said that he thought, in memory, he was like, I think the guy winked at me, his eyes were blinking sideways like a reptile or whatever. So, and a lot of those accounts are pretty open about, hey, these are skits. And it's like a whole phenomenon. But it's weird because on TikTok, you can read their description or whatever. On Twitter, it just gets shared as like, oh, look at another witness on the plane. And there was one person who shared, oh, this is the reptilian man. It's debunked now. And it was some guy with tattoos. And he was like, yeah, it said I was a Freemason. And showed her my Freemason tattoos. She started getting, she started freaking out. And it was like, are we really falling for this? This is ridiculous.
Yeah, it is interesting. There's a little bit of a generational gap going on here in how the use of social media it sort of manifests between generations. Because a good example of this is the grimace milkshake phenomenon on TikTok. Have you seen this? Yeah. So it's kind of this new way of doing social media where you participate in like a meme storyline. Like it's a mass LARPing, live action role play, where you specifically on your social media post content to propagate a fake story and your, experience of it. And altogether, people who are participating in this social media sort of fad or trend or whatever, they know it's fake, but the whole idea is you make it as real as possible. You participate. A lot of it has to do with, public displays of LARPing and narrative. And I think it's this really interesting, it makes me feel kind of old, Gons, because
you
for
missed
us,
that train. Yeah. And it's almost like Hollywood became, everyone's acting now. It's just part of the fabric of social media.
So our idea of social media and just the internet as a whole is like, let's find truth.
Let's find real people.
Let's debunk the wrong stories. Let's find truth. Let's, express truth whenever we can. And that's how we get our value out of social media. Well, there's a generation below us, Gons, where just because of their age, they missed out on a lot of the inception of social media and the importance of like true stuff. And it's all fake, and participating in these broad meta narratives like there's lizard people on planes is just kind of a fun way to spend your time and to like post your experience with seeing a lizard person on a plane. I'm not saying that this is what this is exactly, but it matches up with a lot of versions of that. Yeah. And the younger generation, it doesn't even occur to them that somebody might take it seriously, or if they do, that's their fault. You should be able to know that the difference between a mimetic narrative LARPing session and something that's real or important or whatever. It's this really brilliant expression of nihilism from Gen Z that has sort of very subtly been missed by the older generations.
Well, it seems perfect. It seems like a perfect cover for me for the actual shape-shifting reptilians to be back there going, good. Now we can arrive, and they will all think it's just a joke. So part of this, the reporting of this, I thought was interesting. So the Daily Dot had it early, and they were just like, the woman who clearly seemed drunk, and went with that whole narrative. But Yahoo mirrored a Your Tango article. Great. It's titled, People Are Searching for Woman Who Has Meltdown and Gets Off Plane After Claiming to See a Man Who Was Not Real. And, of course, it talks about the video here. Video showing passenger having a meltdown on a plane. Are a dime a dozen these days, but the most recent meltdown to go mega viral has a startling and bizarre twist. The video shows a woman frantically trying to get off the plane. Yada, yada, yada. We know about that. Part of what makes the TikTok video so bizarre is the woman appears to be perfectly normal. She's well dressed, speaking clearly, and doesn't seem to fit any of the stereotypes that would normally make this kind of video so easy to dismiss.
Oh my gosh, there's so much of that breaking down. It's such, there's tweeter after tweeter after article talking about why do we believe this woman? She doesn't look crazy. She looks very well put together. She does seem genuinely frightened. I mean, you got to give it to her. She's a brilliant actress if she isn't really feeling this way. I have a feeling she's on drugs, but you know, what are you going to do? But
there's some theories presented in this article that we'll get to. So
okay,
we'll get
tell
there.
me.
And the intensity and obviously fear with which she speaks makes one thing clear. Whatever it is she thinks she saw, it was very real to her. And it goes through the whole thing here, visibly upset, come on, page, load. Here we go. Some witnesses have reported that the woman was intoxicated at the time of her meltdown. Intoxication, of course, is the first thing most of us would assume when hearing news of a video in which a woman has a plane meltdown because she seems to have seen some sort of apparition on a plane. And according to the woman, who says she heard from someone who witnessed the incident, alcohol definitely played a role. So there you go. There's the alcohol.
Yeah.
References. Which, okay, so
I don't buy the alcohol excuse.
Well, it's part of the grander theory here that they'll present in this article. So just hold your horses there. Things got so out of hand, quote, they have to turn the whole plane around, Rose went on to say, yada, yada, yada. Now, this is the part right, because I was thinking, this is, whatever. This might just be a woman freaking out. She's on drugs, whatever. But then this factoid came out. Comedian Carrot Top also happened to be on the flight, which was scheduled to fly into Orlando, Florida. Quote, this lady lost her marbles, Carrot Top wrote on Facebook, congratulating American Airlines for how they handled the situation. Quote, it's really maddening how one nut job can ruin everyone's plan, he wrote, noting that the flight eventually made it safely to its destination. So,
that was a weird part of it.
Anytime you have a dying prop comedian, not dying, career
from another age. Yes, a career entertainer.
A career entertainer whose career is not in the, I guess you can call it his twilight years. He's in his twilight years.
Oh please, Carrot Top would have something to say about that. But
I'm sure. He's
you get
ripped,
the point,
by the way. But yeah, it's just interesting to have somebody like him in there, just to make the whole thing seem even more ridiculous. Okay, but here's more. But others have theorized that the woman has some sort of psychic powers and actually genuinely saw something. Not everyone believes what happened is so simple, as Shania Rose reports. However, TikToker and medium at Kelly the Magical Medium posits, is she LARPing too, maybe? That the woman might have psychic abilities and may have seen, quote, something in the back of the plane that no one else can see. Kelly says she genuinely believes, quote, she did see something, and theorizes that the alcohol the woman is known to have drank might have heightened her awareness. Quote, when you drink, it's called spirits, she said, quote, therefore, when you drink, you are more susceptible to seeing apparitions of spirit, end quote. A phenomenon Kelly says she herself has experienced while drinking at events like weddings.
Imagine that. Yeah, well, I mean, and that's what makes this particular, I mean, the power with which this clip has fully overtaken the conversation is incredibly suspicious in a lot of ways. And it could be because we've reached some sort of critical mass of, interest in lizard people, as well as public displays of, outbursts. It could be because a majority or a large portion of the people who are responsible for this clip getting so much attention are playing along in the LARP. But it also says a lot about everything that we see on the internet, or not even just on the internet, in any sort of mass media at all. I mean, you're talking about the theater of Worldview, That's the point we've been trying to get across for a decade now about mass media. It's similar to whatever the news is playing or whatever the collection of corporate news is trying to push the conversations towards. So many of them are their own version of LARP. I mean, you talk about literally anything. I don't need to pick out any one topic.
We don't need to do a full expose.
You get it.
Yeah, I think
literally anything that they talk about could very well be a LARP by elite corporate news people, executives, and there would be no way for us of knowing. And it's almost enlightened in a way of the Gen Z generation to realize this, whether it's conscious or not, but then start playing in that space on their own. It's enlightened in a way, but it also is serving, I would say, the purposes of the crafters of narrative to take all credibility away from any narrative being pushed on the internet.
It's taking credibility away, but also they get to pick and choose because there's so many people doing it. They can just pick whoever, like this psychic lady, magical medium lady, who I don't know who she is, but she must be okay on TikTok or whatever. And they can just pick up her narrative and present it in some kind of article. So
there's a narrative to serve anybody who wants to,
and anything they want to do. It. So Kelly went on to say she believes that what the woman saw was, quote, dark energy. So her fear is understandable. Quote, I'd have to obviously speak to her to see exactly what she saw, Kelly says, but warns that, quote, we live amongst these creatures every single day. So I want to confirm, yes, she did see something, and it was not of this world. She's confirming that she saw something, even though she's like, I'd like to talk to her about it. Other passengers, and this is where they talk about the reptilian eye blinking sideways, and then another passenger saying that they saw the exchange and that the guy in the hoodie didn't say anything. He didn't speak to her. Quote, telepathic conversation, wrote one person in the comments regarding their alleged exchange. Quote, she didn't realize it until later. Hoodie guy knew the whole time. Again, just picking up quotes from some random social media, just comment on the thread and like making it part of the narrative in the mainstream. People are wanting to hear from the woman's point of view. Given that the woman is likely in legal trouble over the incident, we're probably not likely to ever see or hear her side of things. Really? Ever? Until then, keep an eye peeled for malevolent spirits on planes and maybe lay off the booze just in case.
Well, that would be advice that we would give in general. So it's good advice. Yeah. All right. So,
I don't know.
I guess we got to say it. If anybody out there knows this lady, get her in contact. It's about time we put out another interview on CCR. So if we could, for once in our lives, connect with some sort of phenomenon of the zeitgeist like that, that could help us out. So there you go. All right, lizard lady. Anything else on that?
No, but we can just continue to pat ourselves on the back for our great prediction about sewer surveillance.
We'll control them with toileting.
Toilets!
Oh, yeah. Okay, you want me to bring this one?
Sure, I could do it. Doesn't matter.
This is coming from news-medical.net. Sounds legit. The headline, wastewater monitoring can be an effective tool for global disease surveillance. Yes, we know this. Wastewater monitoring could act as an early warning system to help countries better prepare for future pandemics, according to a new study. Oh, good. We have a new study.
Confirming what we were ranting about 3 years ago.
We need a new study. An international collaboration involving Murdoch Children's Research Institute.
Yep.
Oh, there's more.
I know.
The Rockefeller Foundation.
Hey, there they are.
Mathematica and the United Kingdom's Health Security Agency has shed light on how different countries monitor wastewater during infectious diseases outbreaks and where improvements could be made. We must improve the wastewater surveillance. the toilet surveillance. For the study, samples from treatment plants, rivers, wetlands, and open drains were reported from 43 nations spanning 6 continents during 2022. Murdoch Children's and University of Melbourne professor Julie Bynes, who worked with colleagues from Universitas Gadjah Mada in Yogyakarta, said the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic highlighted the need for robust and resilient disease surveillance systems. The ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, Gons. Oh my gosh. We're still in the ongoing pandemic, so we need to keep surveilling the wastewater.
Well, I think maybe if they're looking at the wastewater, it does look like the pandemic is ongoing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right. Yeah, because where's all the COVID now? Well, it's in the sewer.
Yep.
Quote, despite decades of funding being directed into global infectious disease surveillance and warning signs that came from both traditional and non-traditional data sources, much of the world was caught off guard by the rapid spread of SARS-CoV-2, she said. Please. Quote, the pandemic could potentially have unfolded differently if there had been a dedicated surveillance system that was on constant alert, transmitting information about pathogens circulating in the environment across the globe. With such a system in place, experts may have identified SARS-CoV-2 far more quickly.
Chinese toilet. There's SARS-CoV-2 in the Wuhan lab and in a Chinese toilet.
Exactly. Even if we should at least be taking a look at the sewer surveillance directly around U.S.-funded bioweapons labs in China.
That's a good idea. Yeah, somebody should do that. What company? We should come up with that.
It's about targeting. It's about targeting, Gons.
We'll make a shell company that does sewer surveillance, and then we can go into all the hot places.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Even if the pandemic spread was inevitable, healthcare systems could have better prepared for the fallout with more advanced notice, saving many lives.
Yeah.
So you get the point there, but we are beefing up. We're going global with the importance of the sewer surveillance. It's not just about, we can surveil the sewer water of neighborhoods in the U.S. It's the words used in their own study here is, where is it? Oh no, constant alert. Yeah, dedicated surveillance systems on constant alert, 24/7 surveillance of all human waste around the globe is the goal here. And if that is not at least a beautiful metaphor for the World Economic Forum's plan for the world, I don't know what is.
I really hope that the branch, the governing body that they create for this is Poo Watch, the PW.
Poo Watchers.
Poo Watchers.
Yeah.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah, well, and it will be. So there you go, folks. Keep an eye out for people snooping around in your sewers.
I do want to mention, because I just wanted to double check, because they list some pretty big heavy hitters at the top here. The international collaboration, Murdoch Children's Research Institute. Yes, it is an institution named after Rupert Murdoch. So it is the Rupert Murdoch. It is.
Yes, and connected. Yeah. I will say that is one of the fun parts about being off the grid and on a septic system here. All my waste is my own. No man can come test my waste.
Until you get a knock on the door from Klaus, and he just wants to have coffee.
You know what? He can pay
coffee with me. I will show you the secrets of the
for the right price. For the right price, I will let Klaus come clean my septic tank for me.
Oh, yeah.
It's just an offer I'm putting out there. The negotiations are open. I have previously put my desired salary or desired sellout at $10 million. So if it's worth $10 million, you can have my many years of septic tank inhabitants. Okay. And with that, Gons, we got to remember it's Friday.
It's Friday.
Keep playing with the Friday thing.
You're gonna learn today.
Cause it's Friday. You ain't got no job. And you ain't got shit.
Toilets! Are you not entertained? Toilets!
Every day.
It's Friday. It's Friday.
There you go. It is Friday, folks. I don't know.
There's a glitch. The reptilian glitch.
that jingle winked at me vertically. So let's see here. It is Friday. This is wonderful. Any big plans for the weekend? Anything notable to report there, Gonzo?
Not really. I did want to. I know you're a big movie buff, so I wanted to ask you if you had seen or plan to see Sound of Freedom.
You know, I have no plans to see it. I've been excited to see how popular the film has been. There's been, since it came out, there's been lots of hubbub about it, considering I had not heard a single peep about it before it actually came out.
Yeah, it took out Indiana Jones or something, right, over the weekend at the box office. But this is how The Guardian is reporting on the whole success of Sound of Freedom over the weekend, or the last weekend. Headline, Sound of Freedom, the QAnon adjacent thriller seducing America.
Oh my gosh. That's the craziest thing, man. Any mention of this horrible crime that is happening around the world, the FBI themselves admit that it's happening.
Yeah.
But any mention of it just immediately turns on the crazy radar. It's really crazy.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know why they have to do this, but anyway, no, there was not anything exciting or important going on, other than some family time, probably a little more unpacking, that kind of thing. Great.
I'm seeing in the chat here for the live, it looks like you could give your own volume a little bit of a boost. Yeah, well, it's a big weekend for me. Mommy and Daddy Basil are visiting the compound. They'll be showing up actually later today, so that'll be fun.
That's on the show?
Gonna keep this. They might show up during the show, probably not beyond the show, but if we hear the rumblings of somebody pulling in the front driveway, that will probably be them. So we are just going to keep moving forward, just in the case that my emus break out and decide to attack any intruders. Remember, they are highly trained security emus, and I need to be able to give their signal whistle to not dismember my parents when they show up. So that'll be fun.
Okay.
And other than that, why don't we thank some executive producers?
Executive producers.
Yep, we're on the value for value model, folks. If you get value from the show, put value back in. It's the only way that we survive. You can do this with your time, your talent, or your treasure. Lots of ways to put value back in. Just know that if you get value, pray about it, think about it, consider putting value back in. Whether that's with your talent, if you're an artist, your time, or with your treasure. And executive producers are people who come in extra generous for any individual episode. They are then forever known as the executive producer of that episode. They can put it on their LinkedIn, put it on their Twitter bio. If anybody asks about it, give them our email. We will confirm that for you. And, it continues to slow down. The value for value model continues to test our will. But I do want to thank executive producer Felicia D.
Felicia D, thank you so much.
Yes. There was no executive producer when I put the email out. Felicia D, who I believe might literally be an angel from heaven, coming in, saving the day again. Going a long way to helping pay for the babysitter for today's episode. We appreciate that very much, Felicia D.
Yep, thank you. Appreciate it.
That's it.
Where'd you find this?
There we go.
I want to take a second, Gons, and show off the thumbnail for the Canary Cry T-shirt council. The votes are in. That's right. You've heard of reptilians on a plane. Well, we have the most important collection of secret society members in the world on the Canary Cry T-shirt Council. Go to canarycryt-shirtcouncil.com. And the votes are in. The design has been decided for the next Canary Cry News Talk T-shirt, and it is brilliant. And today we have a design from the Mr. Sir Darren Knight of the Hungry Pandas. We had a selection of Sir Darren designs for this quarter, and we landed, or the council landed, on the Canary Crying News Talk movie poster, sort of all-seeing eye montage design that we've had, it's been floating around. I've shared it a couple times, but putting that on a shirt with the sort of vector wave Canary Cry News Talk on a black shirt, it is simply beautiful. I can't wait for this one to go out. So there you go. Thank you very much to the T-shirt council members. This shirt is so cool. In fact, I'm probably going to have a couple extra copies sent to myself. And it's really a shame. I really want to get this out to as many people as possible, because it might be the coolest shirt any podcast has ever created. And of course, it's all thanks to the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council. So we're currently speaking with trusted advisors about different ways that this shirt can be accessed by the general public. But if that's something anybody is interested in, send us an email at canarycryradio@gmail.com. If you like the look of this sucker and you're interested in getting in on it, receiving it, let us know, because we want to figure something out that gets as many people into this shirt as possible while still maintaining the integrity of the Canary Cry T-Shirt Council concept. So there you go. I'm very proud of all the T-shirt counselors. Thank you guys very much. It is indeed a collection of the most important people in the world. Let's will you I'll do it. I'll stick our email address into the chat just in case anybody wants to email us. Just let us know. If there's enough people who are interested in receiving this, we will figure out a way to make it work. So thank you very much.
Cool. Are you ready for?
Okay. Is it Flippy update time?
It is Flippy update time.
Okay.
Flippy update.
Do you want fries with that?
Yeah, that's right, folks. It's time for the Flippy update. Flippy is our colloquial name for the disembodied robot arms that are taking our jobs, enslaving our children, and flirting with our spouses. We use talking about Flippy as a way to explore all the new, fun, and exciting ways robots are taking over the world and how there's nothing we can do about it. Today's Flippy update is coming from the very official outlet of EurekaAlert.org from the AAAS, Advanced Something or Other, something. The headline is "A robot that performs genetic manipulations of the roundworm C. elegans." All right, guys, watch out, roundworm C. elegans. The robots are coming for your genes, and I believe this is simply the first step into the robots improving humanity, of course, for the technocratic dystopia that we are all headed for. A robotic system capable of imaging and transferring the model organism Cyanorhabditis elegans could replace hours of tedious lab work, according to a recent study. Laboratory workers spend untold hours every year manipulating C. elegans, a tiny nematode worm used in genetics research that reproduces quickly and is optically transparent. Often, the labor required to manage and manipulate the animals is a major bottleneck for using the worms to address questions in biology. Fang Yang, Zhao, Li, Anthony Fode, and colleagues developed Worm Picker, a robotic system capable of handling routine tasks. There's a new challenger in the ring, Gons, and it's Worm Picker, increasing the productivity of human researchers. Of course, not to replace them.
Not the robot researchers.
No.
Researchers. Okay.
We are increasing the productivity of these measly human researchers with robots. Worm Picker's imaging system autonomously detects nematode age, sex, shape, expression of fluorescent reporters, and other phenotypes. A robot arm. holding a wire loop, can pluck selected individuals out of a petri dish and transfer the animals to another dish, electrically sterilizing itself with heat between each transfer. The authors put the robot through several standard tasks, including genetic crossing, genetic mapping, and genomic integration of a transgene. So it's not just a robot that can pick up worms, Gons. All right?
No.
I know what you might be thinking. You might be thinking, oh, I get it, worm picker. They just got a robotic arm that can pick up worms. What will they think of next? No, this robotic arm with all of its AI-infused consciousness is able to do tasks such as genetic crossing, genetic mapping, and genomic integration of the transgene. The authors show that the robot performs a fluorescent C. elegans sorting task at a rate comparable to that of human researchers. The authors expect the robotic system to accelerate studies in diverse areas of C. elegans biology. To make Worm Picker as accessible as possible, the authors are providing a list of components and have made all the design files and systems software freely available online. We can make our own worm picker, Gons.
Exit strategy right there.
There we go.
We can genetically engineer our wormicorns.
Worm picker, yes. This is, yes. For those who have been around the show for long enough, this is a sort of cataclysmic collision of some of our favorite topics. Of course, one of them being robotic arms, taking our jobs, enslaving our children and flirting with our spouses, and picking our worms, including wormicorns, which live on the moon, which have been one of our most important breakthroughs in this show over our decade of research. We got Flippy. Flippy's on the wormicorn train, and not only that, but is getting put to work in genetically modifying them, Gons. This truly is the beginning of the end.
Well, especially transgenes. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
Just straight up. Huh?
Yeah.
Transgenes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we got the transgenes.
We got transgenders, but also at the genetic level, we have transgenes. So it's
transgenders. Yeah.
Transgenders.
It all starts with the worms.
We're gonna get banned. Little genetic activists.
It's science, folks. This is why. Now, sorry. I mean, there is a long-standing narrative about the scientific community. I mean, we've learned a lot about the scientific community over the past few years. But part of this is the overabundance of scientists and how these people who have spent decades in school then go on to work for basically minimum wage in these laboratories. Just kind of handling worms, which is kind of part of putting in your dues to becoming, a big boy, big girl scientist. But I don't know. It's, again, the robots are creating a vacuum in the areas of employment that allow you to get the experience that lets you grow into a big, strong scientist. You know, how are you supposed to get a job as a scientist if they want you to have worm picking experience, but at the same time they're not hiring worm pickers because they got robots doing it?
They got worm picker doing it for them.
Exactly.
I think you can propose a bill, like Basil Rosewater proposed a bill.
Mm-hmm. Senator Basil Rosewater. Some kind of human presence in all robot factories bill or act, where it's by law we must have a human in the vicinity of robots producing anything. You know, with how quickly this is happening, our long-standing theory about VR and keeping the human population working until their dying breath on their deathbed using VR controlling robots. At this point, it's like the more humane option to hire someone in a VR helmet to at least, look through the eyes of the robot, give them something to do during the day, instead of being completely replaced. I would be a humanist champion, saving jobs and keeping people employed. by requiring VR robo supervisors to oversee all this worm picking.
Yeah, like actual monitors who get to experience every robot act, maybe virtually, but at least you're watching,
Yeah, right.
The robot's experience becomes the human experience.
Or of a legal supervisor, just to make sure that if something goes wrong, it's the robot that goes to jail, and we're not left in some sort of floating abyssal space where robots are both legally considered more important than us and also legally unliable for their deadly deeds in the lab. So there you go, folks. There's your Flippy update for the day.
A pandemic special.
I want to die or be decapacitated. I want to be vaccinated.
This is a pandemic of the unvaccinated.
Vaccine, number one way.
Man, got a lot of jingles about vaccines.
Mm-hmm.
And I think we're okay on YouTube here. This is from BioPharmaDive.com. Actually got a pair of articles here to check out what our good old friends Pfizer and Moderna are up to. We're going to start off with Pfizer here. Pfizer backs CRISPR biotech Caribou in latest cell therapy investment.
CRISPR. Cas9.
So we have another clash of some topics here that we've been covering for years. One being CRISPR, and of course all this Pfizer gene therapy that they're.
Yeah, they need their next big product here.
Right. Pfizer bought $25 million worth of stock in Caribou Biosciences, giving the gene editing company a vote of confidence and a boost of funding for an experimental multiple myeloma treatment. The giant drug maker bought 4.69 million shares, kind of a degen number there, at $5.33 a piece in a sale that closed June 30th after the stock had hovered around $4 in recent trading days. As part of Pfizer's due diligence, all right, they're doing their due diligence, Basil, because they've only been fined a few billion over their lifespan.
Yeah, if there's one thing Pfizer's known for, it's their diligence.
Their due diligence and keeping things legal. It had access to data that hasn't yet been made public, suggesting the work underway is promising, analysts say.
Right.
It's not public, so it's promising. Of course it is. You're trying to pump up the stock. Caribou shares jumped more than 60% close to $7 a piece in early trading Thursday. So
dang, why did nobody from Pfizer gave us a warning here? Did Pelosi know this was going to happen? We gotta see. Why did we not?
Maybe Fauci's allowed to play
the
these
opportunity.
Yeah, since he's not in official role anymore. The investment agreement directs Caribou to use the funds solely to advance CB-011, currently in phase 1 testing for patients with relapsed or refractory multiple myeloma. As part of the investment, Pfizer gained a right of first negotiation if Caribou decides to engage in talks with potential partners for CB-011. So, and there's more details here that are not as important. And if you want to dig in, you can. All the links are there in the show notes at canarycrynewstalk.com. But there you go. Pfizer moving into CRISPR, which makes sense. It's the next step. All this gene editing stuff. That's 2 stories, Basil, in a row here where we have genetic editing as sort of a theme. One in the context of worms and robot arms, and the other one in the context of one of the biggest pharma criminal conglomerates ever, Pfizer. So yeah, there you go. There's the direction we're headed. Very much what we all said it would be.
It's almost like not conspiratorial enough for this show anymore.
Yeah, it's just mainstream
to be concerned about the obvious march towards ubiquitous gene editing in healthcare.
Yep. Well, let's check out the other company, Moderna. What are they up to? Because, Moderna didn't have a product for a decade, and then COVID, and then all of a sudden, boom, mRNA jabs everywhere. This is coming from Reuters. Moderna agrees deal in China.
Chinese!
With view to developing mRNA medicines. This is a really interesting article because it's kind of funny. You know, you kind of do your damage in the U.S. and it's like, all right, where can we go next? Who's going to let us gene edit their population? Oh, China. China would be the perfect place. And of course, they're all into it. Shanghai vaccine maker Moderna Inc. said on Wednesday it had signed a memorandum of understanding and a land collaboration agreement. A land collaboration agreement. That might come into focus as we talk about the rest of the stuff here today. To work toward opportunities for it to research, develop, and manufacture mRNA medicines in China. Quote, any medicines produced under this agreement will be exclusively for the Chinese people and will not be exported, a spokesperson told Reuters in an email in response to a query. He declined to comment on the size of the deal and did not immediately provide any other details. Now, this just thing, there's a little quote here saying that, any medication produced under this agreement, it's only for the Chinese citizens. It's not to be exported. Suggests to me that there is some kind of like racial genetic targeting type of stuff. I know they've been doing that already, but just,
that was part of the thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So continuing with that trend, it's almost like, we're doing something that targets specifically our Chinese citizens in some kind of medicine. Chinese media outlet Yekai reported on Tuesday that Moderna was set to make its first investment in China that could be worth around $1 billion. And that chief executive officer, Stefan Bancel, was visiting Shanghai. Of course he was. Moderna said in May it was looking for opportunities in China after registering a legal entity in the world's second largest economy. The company prior to this had no presence in mainland China. It opened up an office in Hong Kong last year as part of an Asia expansion. Its expansion into mainland China comes as its revenue growth slows sharply due to waning global demand for its COVID-19 vaccine, the U.S. company's only approved product. Moderna in February forecast a possible net loss for 2023, calling it a transition year before it starts to see sales from experimental vaccines for respiratory syncytial, am I saying that right? Syncytial virus, RSV.
I have no idea.
It's RSV. And it goes on here, but you get it. This is exclusively for the Chinese people, and it's going to involve Moderna's mRNA technology. So, which is interesting because China didn't want any Western vaccines in their citizens prior to this during the pandemic.
Exactly. That's kind of the weird thing about it, isn't it? Because they were kind of strictly not really medicines, mRNA technology. Their own vaccine didn't use the technology, and it was kind of a sticking point during that time. It is interesting. Kind of at the same time, there's a report coming from dailymail.co.uk. Elon Musk signs onto letter pledging Tesla's commitment to China's core socialist values to continue operations in the country. So we see Elon Musk signing onto a letter to uphold the core socialist values in China to do business there. And I have a feeling that Moderna had to make a similar pledge.
Well,
same thing.
It goes to show, much like we saw in World War II, you had companies like Ford and IBM assist in the whole Nazi operation. It's the military industrial complex, the medical industrial complex. It's all kind of the same thing here. And we're seeing proof of it now where, Pfizer is kind of moving this way into CRISPR. Hey, let's move on. Moderna is like, hey, what do we do now? Oh, we go to China. Yeah, but isn't the whole COVID thing U.S. versus China? Yeah, but hey, they're going to let us experiment on their people. So let's go for it. It's just a weird.
Even outside of the COVID thing, just simply the building economic tensions,
right? And, the geopolitical tensions of current.
It's a weird time. It's just a weird time to be putting so many of your chips onto the China table there. Yeah. It makes me wonder if elites like Moderna executives or whoever and Elon, kind of got a message like, hey, Don't worry. Yeah, go do more business in China if you need to. We're going to keep this China LARP going for a few more years.
We got till 2027.
Okay.
We got 4 years. Just go ahead, play around a little bit more.
I mean, it makes me wonder if any of this tension with China is real at all. If the elites aren't acting like it's a big risk to go attach themselves to China, what's the point? What's the point of being an elite if you don't get the message to either stay in a market or get out of a market before World War III breaks out?
Right. I think it has to do with something else entirely.
Mm-hmm.
The whole China-U.S. tensions is about something else. But let's move on because we got some other things to talk about here. Specifically, the mention of land in that last article about Moderna in China connects to this here.
Build back better. Build back better. Build back better. We will build Babylon better. This time,
a new world order.
Going straight to the World Economic Forum website. They published an article on July 5th. And it was headlined, "Can we build a people and nature positive future with systematic land use?"
Yeah, that doesn't sound sketchy at all.
I'm going to read some of the bullet points here. Human exploitation of natural resources is often underestimated or overlooked. To combat this, we need a systematic land use approach where we, the World Economic Forum, reassess and reallocate land into productive, regulative, supporting, and cultural functions to synergize economic, social, and environmental goals.
Yes. Wonderful. I don't even know what all that means, but it sounds like the same kind of hogwash we've been hearing from the elites for years now.
The hubris of saying we're going to reassess and reallocate. Reallocate means like it's almost the same as like redistribute, right? So it's like telling you what you can do, what you can do or can't do on your land.
You had Bill Gates just buy up, bajillion acres of American farmland, not to mention the Chinese and all their farmland holdings in the U.S. Are they the ones getting reallocated? Are we going to reallocate the land holdings of, Shell and ExxonMobil? Or is this for
it's for
individual?
Their expansion.
Yeah, right, exactly. We're reallocating it to Shell and ExxonMobil away from Tom, Dick, and Harry.
Right. A third bullet point here: with proper science, technology, financial tools, management, and the will to overhaul unsustainable development models, we can improve the health of our planet.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yes.
I can't even believe that. It's so blatant that I know they've been blatant before, but I mean, hello, they're saying, we need financial tools, we need the right science, we need the right tech, we need the right management, and the will to overhaul unsustainable development models, which means like anybody who's doing anything normal.
So in the same way that the World Economic Forum put out "You'll own nothing and you'll be happy" in 2016, when we first found it on the World Economic Forum. I'm not talking about during COVID when everybody learned about World Economic Forum and everybody saw the video. No, 2016 on Canary Cry News Talk, we were breaking down the World Economic Forum and their plan for the future. That was 3 or 4 years ahead of sort of the mass knowledge about this. And it's because of the way that they present their ideas and the words that they choose, similar to what we're reading right now, which it's, kind of sounds kind of
tree huggery.
It's either using the right words and implying that, the system we live in needs to change, and if we change it the right way, we can fix the world. That's kind of the general gist that they tend to come out with these ideas. But then, you either read into the details immediately and It is literally saying we're going to take away the ability for individuals to own land and to allocate that to, of course, corporations, but not just any corporations. Corporations who have a high enough ESG score, which, by the way, Shell Oil Company has the highest ESG score you can possibly have. Why? Not because they changed, the way they pollute our environment. They purchased land. And that's what you need to maintain your ESG score. It is literally a ratio of how many trees you own as a company versus how much pollutants you put into the environment. So as long as Shell owns 40 gajillion trees, because they purchased, the entire state of Ohio, they can put as much pollution into the environment as they want. Now, I'm just using their own reasoning here. There's a lot of different corporations and a lot of different pollution-related details. That'll make this a different story for every company. But what they're saying here is we're going to run out of land in order for our ESG companies to maintain good ESG scores. So we're going to need to allocate land differently. Mm-hmm. We can't have individuals owning land because, we need that land for the ESG score of essential fossil fuel companies. So it's a beautiful way. They're just sort of reinventing the math of what the new world order 2.0 looks like.
And the hidden part of this is just presupposing that everyone's just going to follow along. No one's going to rebel against any of this. Just the hubris behind it. Here's a little section. Rethinking how we use land. With only one Earth underfoot, if we are to extend, even by a little, the Anthropocene epoch, we must uproot, rethink, redesign, and reorganize the way we use the Earth's surface. This is what's called the systemic land use approach. And they want to shift, a paradigm shift in human society's development trajectory. That's what they want.
Paradigm shift. A wonderful detail, just a few paragraphs down from where you got it here. 90% of land could become degraded by 2050.
Oh, yeah.
Okay,
I have that
sure.
there.
Just like throwing out a number. Just 90% of land could become degraded by 2050. Stripping businesses, it says, of the very resources they rely on, and backtracking advances in socioeconomic development. Mm-hmm. So they're talking about the land available to businesses and how that's going to backtrack advances in socioeconomic development, meaning, you'll own nothing and you'll be happy. Compounded by the effects of land degradation on climate change and biodiversity. Sustainable land use is essential to safeguard and future-proof businesses. According to the World Economic Forum's Insight Report, Seizing Business Opportunities. I love that they have a great name for this. Seizing business opportunities in China's transition towards a nature-positive economy. Nature-positive transitions in food and land use related sectors could create $502 billion of annual business value and 29 million jobs by 2030. So allocating land, giving it to businesses, will create $502 billion of annual business value and 29 million jobs by 2030.
In China. So this whole experiment here of land, sustainable land use or systematic land use, they're rolling out in China.
Of course, because that's the only place they can right now, because it is their petri dish for their social credit score systems, their surveillance states,
their mRNA too,
ESG, their mRNA.
So now we know what
happening in China.
Moderna jumped on this bandwagon, is what they did. They saw the opportunity here, and they're like, "Oh, this is where the money's flowing. Let's go." Because again, it mentioned the land, something about the land.
It's easy, and it's easy to sell. Because what you're selling is, will take land away from people and the government and will give it to businesses.
Right.
And it will create billions of dollars. Yes, you steal something from a person and give it to a business. Of course, that's billions of dollars of business value. Notice how it's not revenue. It's not market share. It's business value, meaning they take the value away from the individual. They give it to the company, and it increases business value. They're saying it all right there in the words. All you got to do is read them and really read them. Moving forward, it is imperative for businesses to reassess the impacts of their operations on land in relation to biodiversity, climate, freshwater, ocean, and adopt science-based targets for nature. So it's all in the beautiful language of saving the planet. That's why you got to give up. You got to give up all your ownership rights to your, whatever land you got, as if any of us can actually own any significant land anymore.
Yeah.
But it's probably for the best gons because they'll just take it away.
That's true. Yeah, it might end in a terrible way if you own land, unfortunately. But I think you hit on all the points there. This also touches the surveillance or sewer surveillance topic, because part of systematic land use will likely involve how waste is managed, and that's a big part of pollution and all that, right?
Well, there's value there, Gons. There's business value to be had.
It's business value. All of our
data is value. Data is currency. Yep. If you got to create data on as much as you can because it's worth something. So it's about time we started making some value out of our waste, Gonzo.
That would be. I think Bill Gates is onto something.
If only we could figure out a way to monetize our waste. We could really, talk about value for value model.
Oh, yeah.
Value for value. We take no money from corporations, commies, or cartels.
Ooh, that's right, folks. Value for value. Thanks for sticking with us and listening, watching the show, participating in the community, and producing the show with your time, your talent, or your treasure. The V4V drought continues a bit here, but I wanted to thank a couple people for producing today's show. Which is probably for the best. We'll just keep it short here.
Okay.
We did Angel from Heaven, Felicia D. Thank you. But we did have another wonderful executive producer come in, bring in some value, and not a second too late too. So I'd like everybody to stand up, giving a rousing round of applause for executive producer, now on a streak, a 3-episode executive producer streak, executive producer Dustin H.
Dustin H.
Executive streak.
He's heating up.
That's awesome.
Thank you so much, Dustin. And as we know, he shared a little bit of his story with us, that he's been getting value from the show for a long time here and is finally in a place to put some value back in. And he's doing it, and just in the nick of time, too, Dustin H. Thank you very much. It comes in with 101.33. So Illuminatus. And he has a note here. It says, for helping me be ahead of the curve for so many years. No corporate, cartel, or commie money. I respect that. Enjoy the weekend, all. I'll be working double time and thinking up night names. Yeah. Oh, yeah. You're probably getting really close, Dustin H. Thank you for that. Can't wait to introduce Dustin H. into the Canary Cry Roundtable of Knights and Dames. If you haven't heard, it's our elite squadron of aristocracy here on the show. People who have supported the show in the amount of $1,000 or more, whether that's all at once or over many years, get a place of honor at the roundtable. So keep an ear out for that in future episodes for Dustin H.
Thank you, Dustin H.
Where'd you find this?
Which is outrageously important today because we have 0 producers who came in above $7.77. That is officially officially hit rock bottom.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah, officially hit rock bottom on the producer segment here. Now, we did have our streakers did come in under the 777 mark, so we are going to thank them for their faithfulness, starting with Sir Casey the Shield Knight, 319 episodes in a row.
Thank you, Sir Casey.
Veronica D, 281 in a row.
Veronica D.
Sir Scott, Knight of Truth, 308 in a row.
Thank you, Sir Scott.
Dame Gale, Canary Whisper, and Lady of X's and O's, 281.
Thank you, Dame Gale.
Sir Morv, Knight of the Burning Chariots, 250 in a row.
Sir Morv.
And we had a producer, Joseph C., come in and join the Patreon.
Joseph C., thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. You know, this does make me wonder. I think we have the capability to create a payment plan that would be per episode, like it charges every 2 days or something for episode. I wonder if that would be the more sort of palatable way to produce the show. People just want to come in for $1 or something. You know, we get enough people coming in for $1 a show, that could make up for the lack of individual producerships for the episode. I don't know. Maybe something there. Send us an email, canarycryradio@gmail.com. But with your financially, it's not the only way to produce the show. We have creative producers who come in, they bring their talent to the show, and we adore them for that. Who do we got coming in, Gons?
We're going to go straight to the art.
One art, please.
All right. Well, the first one, obviously, from our longtime artist, Sir Dove, Knight of Rospeltia.
Whee!
One art piece from Dove.
Here's a note that says, "Peace for today's artwork. I made another thumbnail duo illustration. Hope you guys like it. Keep doing what you do, and I'll keep praying for you. Dove."
Love
P.S.
it.
Hold on. P.S.
Love it.
The Gates Water brand is from episodes 361's Sam's Club artwork with Sam Altman asking customers to look into the orb.
I remember that. That's very helpful. Thank you, Sir Dove. And this is a great piece of art. The background is inside of a sauna.
Oh, yeah.
Great looking sauna, by the way.
A lot of intelligence folk meet in saunas.
A lot of the world's plans are hatched up in saunas. But in the foreground here, we have Dove, who has illustrated a couple of ice agents here. On the left, we've got Basil, the giant googly-eyed canary man, wearing an ice vest. It's a vest, says ice on it. You got a nice dual-use, dual-purpose allegory ice vest there. I cannot find the ice vest, Gons. It's really actually scaring me. I am just soaked all the way through right now. The summertime heat in the office is out of control. I have no idea. I remember the ice vest was in the freezer for a very long time and was just taking up space. So I took it out, and I don't know where I put it. So Lord willing and the creek don't rise, that ice vest will show up. On the right-hand side of this beautiful piece of art, we've got Gons, and he looks very proud of his bag of ice. And it's not just any ice. It is Gates Water ice, recycled from my source. Nice picture of Bill Gates giving a thumbs up there. Yes, we all know where his water comes from. Gons, you've got, let's see, what do we got on your hat here? We've got a 666 hand signal winking at us from your hat there.
Yeah.
Is that part of your, I mean, there have been plenty of videos of us over the years of people slowing down, pausing frames, catching us in the act of sending secret Illuminati hand signals. Is that what that's related to, or is there another joke I'm missing?
Maybe, I don't know. The prayer hands little logo there on my hat. More
got transitioned because you're we are in the sauna, so we could be making the global domination plans. Thank you very much, Sir Dove. This is excelente.
Thank you. We also got something from Marty K, Knight of the Wrong Timeline, and I think he's responding to something we said. Is that what's going on here?
He corrected me on the last episode. I mentioned that Denmark was experiencing some France-style civil unrest, and he corrected me and said it's Belgium that's having the France-style civic unrest. And to prove it, he sent us a boots-on-the-ground video of Denmark.
Copenhagen, Denmark.
Yes, Copenhagen, great city, experiencing a lack of civil unrest here. And if you play the video, I don't know if he has any audio on it, but it does show a beautiful sunny day in Denmark with completely empty streets. No murders, no maimings, no police tanks, and no overthrowing of the government. So I stand corrected, not Denmark, Belgium.
Yeah, it seems so peaceful. There's like nothing happening.
That's generally Denmark. Generally, Denmark is quite peaceful, but that's why you got to watch out. It's always the peaceful ones that come out of nowhere. Thank you very much,
Thank
Sir
you,
Marty K.
Sir Marty
out of the wrong
K.
timeline.
All right, we have a couple microfictions.
Microfiction.
Tiny.
Microfiction.
This first one is from Ronksmeyer.
The duo breathe a sigh of relief as they reach the cracked lanes lined with the lilies of the value, the walls covered in satirical graffiti, like the Globe huffing a can of hairspray, and a scrawling script saying, "The sun is making the frogs straight."
I like that line.
Yeah. You know, there are moments of genius on this show, Guns.
The sun with a capital S, by the way.
Yes, indeed. Thank you very much, Runk Smash. Great to hear from you again.
Appreciate it.
Runk Smash is working very hard. Got some life change. We're praying for you still, Runk Smash, Merk Smash. And you're doing a great job. Don't panic if we got to go a couple episodes without microfictions.
Yep, no worries, buddy. All right, Stephen S.
The introduction of self-healing skin on the Kanganda robo-rhinos led to the unintended consequence of parasitic bugs. The high school robotic team's cooperation second challenge, an AI-controlled robo-bird to hunt and eradicate these insects.
A bit of a throwback.
That was a real callback to the cooperation, robotic cooperatitions.
Yeah.
Yes, coming from a Freethink article, headline, "Farmers Can Fight Invasive Insects with AI and a Robotic Arm." Thank you to everybody who sent me the video of the farm laser bug zapper machine that was making the rounds. It's good to keep up on those things. The laser bug zapping industry has really come a long way since, just setting up a bug zapper light or something.
This thing is called tartan pest, like Tartarus.
That sounds familiar.
All right. Well, thank you very much, Stephen S. Appreciate it. And that does it for all of our producers who came in with their talent. Appreciate you.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want to do Antarctica?
Sure.
Let's do it.
I was going to mention that if you want to send art in, you can go to canarycry.art to do that and submit your art. Or you can go to canarycry.report and submit any links that you might have to stories that we might consider for the show. So,
yeah. And you know what? We haven't mentioned Canary Cry meetups in quite some time.
That's true. We should probably do
Go to Canary Cry meetups, see if there's a meetup going on near you. And if there's not, you just put one on yourself. It's a great way to meet Canarians. No matter where you are in the world, there's almost certainly Canarians within driving distance of you. Let's see here. We've got the next one right now is coming in September. That's the Eastern North Carolina meetup, September 2nd. So there's some time. We got some time for people to put on some meetups here. I know we're getting into late summer, but what a better time to connect with people who know what's going on.
Yep, 100%. And there seems to be more people knowing what's going on than there used to be. So, and not everyone listens to the show, so maybe it's something where they can find us, and it'll be a.
We got to start cross promoting with other shows. Is what we need to do. We got to start building a federation.
We got to come out of our shell and talk to other people. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll consider that. Maybe we'll do it in Antarctica.
So a new discovery. Antarctica.
Antarctica.
In the bottom of our planet. Advanced Antarctica.
Climate crisis.
Penguins.
So we saw a little bit of a wobble in the mainstream narrative about Antarctica as the utopia for the rich white liberals of the world to save the earth, escape Nazis, build a new society for the liberal progressive values that are being transmitted across the earth via American culture exportation. But Antarctica is no longer, supposedly, neutral culturally or geopolitically. We've seen Antarctica take center stage as a sort of mainstream narrative warfare has started to take over. A little bit of a wobble with the Atlantic article telling you to stay away and don't litter. But this was a big one. This threw it right back on track, Gons.
Yep.
And the headline is, "I went on the trip of a lifetime with my new husband and left him halfway through it."
Oh, no. What happened?
Yes. Tragic romance. And I will summarize most of this for you.
Good.
Because
I have a couple things highlighted, but yes, overall, I think we can tell the story in our own words here.
So it's the story of this woman who got married 18 months ago. Her name's Amy. She got married 18 months ago and then went on a 6-month trip with her new husband. And this trip seemed to be sort of a group trip. They don't give a whole lot of details, except that there were other people on a trip with them, and they were exploring the different offerings of South America. They planned for Ecuador and Argentina and all these different places.
Brazil.
And about 3 months in, she was given the opportunity to go to Antarctica. And she thought to herself, Antarctica, this is an incredible opportunity. We need to go have an adventure and see things that nobody else can see. And we need to connect with the earth and live a life of unmitigated excitement and adventure. And her new husband was much more interested in partying, much more interested in going out, getting drunk.
They say bonding with a woman on the trip.
Yes, seems like there was a little bit of a risk of infidelity, or at least, the wobbles that a new marriage could possibly experience, depending. Now, she's been with this man for 10 years, but they had only been married for 18 years. 18 months, yes, thank you. And she got the chance, somebody gave her an opportunity, discounted trips on a cruise to Antarctica, of course, from one of the gateway cities, Ushuaia in Argentina. And she couldn't believe it. She got the discounted trips. The tickets were in her hand, and she turned to her husband and said, "We got him. Let's go have an adventure." And he preferred to stay behind with the group and with the other woman. And so there was a moment of reckoning where Amy needed to make the choice. Does she follow her heart and go on the adventure to Antarctica, or does she stay back with her party boy husband? And of course, you know what happens, folks. She made the right choice. She went to Antarctica.
Well, she didn't know it was the right choice. She was distraught as she was seeing Ushuaia leave her sight. She was, she couldn't think of anything other than what her husband might be up to. And
10 days. For 10 days,
no
they were
internet.
out of communication. They could not speak to one another. Party boy husband stayed on land to probably, you guessed it, party. while she went on an amazing spiritual journey to Antarctica, and she saw penguins jumping out of the water like dolphins. She saw an iceberg. She writes about it so poetically. It was life-changing. It was just the sort of life-changing trip that all rich white liberal women seek to bring some excitement back into their life. It was exactly the promised land that Antarctica has been built into.
Can I read part of this, because the way she describes it, it creates imagery of something that we have as a tradition and a ritual in Christianity.
Sure.
A shiver of excitement ran through me. Okay, so she's talking about stormy nights, and she's distraught, and she's not, whatever, until she saw an iceberg. The first time she saw an iceberg, that changed her whole, vibe. A shiver of excitement ran through me. Here I was on a ship heading to the very bottom of the world. From that moment, I saw something magical every hour. Penguins leaping out of the water like dolphins, glaciers bigger than buildings, hundreds of whales surrounding the boat. I even took a dip in the freezing water and felt any remnants of shame and guilt wash away.
Ah, yes.
She was baptized in Antarctica, Basil.
It was a spiritual baptism in the
a
icy
baptism,
waters
maybe
of
not
Antarctica.
a biblical one, but yeah, a baptism of sorts, a spiritual baptism. It opened my eyes to the wonders that exist in the world, and I realized this was the kind of experience I wanted to seek. So she had her awakening moment as she entered the cold waters of Antarctica, as an epiphany and a 180, a moment of breakthrough from her distraught marriage.
There's some details about her marriage, about how they just had never talked for 10 years they were together. They never talked about what they wanted their future to look like, which is probably a good thing to fit in the schedule at some point during the 10 years. Just a bit of advice for anybody out there. Within the first 10 years, you should have some sort of idea about what your future looks like together. But it was this trip to Antarctica that showed her that her marriage was a sham. Basically, this was it's filled with this sort of feminist freedom from the
oppressive traditions of marriage.
They do a great job of sort of avoiding the super what's the word? I don't know, stereotypical feminist ideas, but it was this sort of subtle movement in the feminist realm. I wouldn't even say like in the activist, but the idea being that her marriage was much less important and much less well thought out than she had expected. And instead, it was this pilgrimage and this baptism to Australia that set her free. She really talks about it as being set free from sort of the one track experience that her life had taken, and her marriage was just sort of on autopilot. Her whole relationship was on autopilot, but it was this breaking free and going on an adventure herself to Antarctica to get baptized with the penguins that changed her life. And she wrote a book.
Baptized with the Nephilim. Well, that was going to be my point. And why are we even hearing about her? What is, why is she being featured on the Telegraph? My new book, Midnight, is a thriller set on a ship bound for Antarctica. It opens up with a murder, so it certainly isn't directly based on my experiences, but the trip heavily influenced my writing. I'm sure it's a metaphorical murder of her ex-husband, but we're not going to get into the details here.
Probably.
But it's all the things that you'd want, and it's nicely packaged. It's definitely like a native story here, native ad type of story for her book, which is typical.
And the emotional narrative of Antarctica fitting directly into the New World Order 2.0 idea that Antarctica is almost like a control panel that can be used to affect almost any narrative on Earth. Part of the fun we get to have is finding all these Antarctica stories that are analogs for other cultural conversations. Once a cultural conversation reaches a certain point, a certain saturation within the mainstream media, boom, a story directly related, and it could be LGBTQ, it could be the trans issue, it could be, of course, environmental issues, geopolitical issues. There's the Ukrainians in Antarctica. It doesn't matter what it is. At some point, a narrative hits a saturation point in the mainstream media where the next step is they bring it to Antarctica. And it's sort of like a seal being put on the narrative to
because there's
place it.
There's
place
land. There's like a geography to it.
Yeah, right. To stamp Antarctica and that narrative, marking one another as official messages if you want to fit in with the progressive sort of ideals of the future we're making together, that sort of thing. And I thought this was a very interesting one, especially after that little wobble we saw with the Atlantic. Boom, immediately after is Antarctica means freedom. Antarctica means adventure. Antarctica, not just adventure for the trip, but a whole life of adventure. The story was this tale about her disconnecting from her husband and then living an entire life of adventure, living her dreams of becoming an author and traveling the world and running the Sahara, all because she disconnected from her husband who didn't want to have adventure. So it is a very powerful story that this person put together here. I'm sure most of it, if not all of it, is true, but it sends a very powerful signal that, especially to the sort of liberal women of the world, that living your dream life is at your fingertips. Just book a ticket to Antarctica and therefore, as we know, become an ambassador to Antarctica, which means spreading the values connected to Antarctica around the world. So now you've got this woman living her dreams as an example of how Antarctica, the great white desert, can change your life for the better, Gons. It makes me want to go even more. I want to be free like Amy. I want to be free like Amy, Gons, living a life of adventure.
Yeah, sounds like something that all liberal women should do. Maybe that's what it was. Maybe that's what the targeting, they have their sort of main audience, which is probably sort of like gold digging ladies who can take a divorce, can give them a lot of money and the freedom to adventure. And that's the kind of money they want in Antarctica. They don't want just your normal tourists. You want people that have transformative experiences.
Well, that's what it is. I mean, I can't speak to whether she got any money out of the divorce or not, but it was it's the same idea of the transformative events concept, the Carl Teichgrib. Antarctica itself no longer is culture bound by transformative events once a year temporally, like Burning Man or whatever, but it is a place. It's a physical place that you can go to be transformed every time, and you don't have to wait. You can go now. All you got to do is leave your husband on the shores of Ushuaia with another woman.
And the ritual shall be complete.
Exactly. Get baptized.
What if they come back
water.
And some lady's like, I didn't have my experience. I didn't have any change of experience. And they're like, well, did you leave your husband with a woman on shore? And I'm like, no. Well,
that's a very important part of it.
You got to marry somebody first.
There's a whole group of women who just hang out in Ushuaia waiting for some white lady to leave her husband on shore and show him a good time.
It's a booming business down there on the shores of Ushuaia. All right. Okay, let's get out of here.
All right, folks. Thanks for listening to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Thank you very much to the Clippies, our producers.
Yes.
Thanks. That's right. We got the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey, and we got these Clippies. They are standing by, ready to start the revolution. Go follow the Canary Cry Clips channel on YouTube and Odyssey. And thank you very much to the timestampers.
Timestamp, it's hard work. Timestamp.
That's right. The time stampers, well, you guessed it. They stamp the time when regards to the timeline of the show. It goes into so much of our back-end processes. It's very important. Thank you very much. And I think for episode 642, it was Jade Bouncerson doing the timestamps. Yes. Thank you very much, Jade. Thank you to Jam for the links. Thank you for everybody who sent in links to canarycry.report. Is there anybody special we want to thank in regards to that?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Yeah, while you find that, I did want to give a special shout out to a Twitter user who is doing a great job of spreading the good word of Canary Cry News Talk on the tweeters, and that's K-Man. K-Man, thank you. At K-Man777 _ go follow this Canarian if anybody's there. Was tagging me in a bunch of conversations he's having with people, leading people to the show, sharing episodes of the show, having, really connecting with people. There's multiple people who said, oh, I'm checking it out now because you, K-Man. Thank you very much, K-Man. So, K-Man, if you're listening out there, good job, buddy. And if anybody out there sees or knows K-Man on the internet or otherwise, tell him thank you.
We need a man. We need a man for every or woman for every letter of the alphabet. We need an A man, woman.
That's right.
It. We need a B man.
Where's the L man?
L man, yeah. Okay. Where's the G man?
Thank you to the Sentinel for sending in article into canarycry.report. Thanks to Clank for the reminder. And other than that, folks, you share the show. Share the show with your friends, with your family, with your penguins, with your long-lost lovers that you left on the shores of Ushuaia as you went and found your life of adventure. There's lots of ways to share the show. You don't have to do it the normal way, blasting it out of your car window, breaking into the control room at the mall and playing it over the loudspeakers, hacking into a government database and uploading the podcast to the DMV. So the DMV gets to listen to it. There's lots of ways to do it, but mostly, great way to do it is just gather the podcast, the podcast you've been listening to for 10 years, but you really committed to this podcast recently. It's not us, it's the other podcast. And you go on a big, long trip for 3, 4, 5 months down in South America, hoping to grow closer with that podcast. But it turns out that podcast is just a party podcast. That podcast just wants to go out, make friends, a little bit more of an extrovert. And it just turns out that you and that podcast were not really suited for one another. But what is this? A podcast who promises adventure in Antarctica, the only podcast possibly in the world to offer you at the end of the show adventure to the Great White Desert and how that will change your life and give you the life that you always wanted. So leave that old podcast on the shores of Ushuaia to go romp around with some other podcast listener. No, you're getting on the boat with Canary Cry News Talk, and it'll give you the life you always wanted. That's one way to share the show. You don't have to share it that way, just whatever you want. If you need any more instructions, here's what you do. We call it rattling cages, and you just walk right up to him, you grab him by the cage, and then you shake it.
The end of the world occurred pretty much as we had predicted.
I want to shake things up, stir up some controversy, rattle a few cages. Hey, stop that! You'll never silence me. I'm the last angry man, a crusader for the little guy. Leave the bird alone. Never. Rattle a few cages. Rattle a few cages.
The human race will have every opportunity to improve.
And if they don't?
Ask Noah.
That's right, just ask Noah. Gons, any last words?
Have a great weekend. Stay watchful. Don't eat leftover hot dogs.
Every day is 4th of July when you're a real patriot. Just don't blow off your fingers. I'm sure there's some leftover fireworks in the closet. Just save them for next time. Don't start any fires. Yeah. All right, everybody. Thanks for tuning in to this episode of Canary Cry News Talk. Make sure to tune in on Monday. But until then, think outside the cage.
Goodbye.
I love the Great Reset. Give me a break. I'll keep you warm.
Ethan Zoo.
Armageddon's on the way. This is not about freedom or personal choice.
Toilets! Toilets!
We're all gonna die.
This is the way.
Remember, reality is an illusion. The universe is a hologram. Buy gold. Buy!
Canary crying news talk, man, what's going on? Gotta turn it on, shows coming on live. VPN on when I'm going online. Anonymity, man, cryptocurrency. We got everything you need, get it 3 times a week. Jesus Christ, the King, let the Holy Spirit speak. Battle in the cage, gotta set the captive free. Value for value, to me it's not free. Wish I had a longer streak, but this creativity, go fulfill the 3 T's. That's time, treasure, talent. Give it right back, put it right back in balance. Not right or left, we not with the distractions. Catastrophes are the classic techniques. All attacks of the enemy, getting defeated underneath the feet of Jesus. Just believe us, media is trying to deceive ya. Gotta read between the lines till you see through the disguise. It's a slit reptilian eye sitting on top of the pyramid. Got a myriad of topics, might be on a watch list. R.I.P. face like the sun, but you cannot stop this. Like the Lord's gonna come stop this beast system and this infinite wisdom. Yeah, when the time is right, yeah, we're gonna take flight like a thief in the night. So I gotta get it right. I gotta repent and sit patient. Waiting for supply drop. Google eyes don't blink, man. I need some eye drops. Google mind deep thinking flippy AI thoughts. Yeah, Basil, gons. You know what's going on. Basil, gons. Never crowd news talk, man. What's going on? Basil, gons. And you know what's going on. Basil. Never crowd news talk, man. What's going on?
A mysterious white powder was discovered in the West Wing on Sunday, prompting a hazardous materials call to the fire department. I wish I was making this up, but it's true. Newsmax can confirm the powder is presumed by the fire department to be cocaine.
What? We will hunt you down and make you pay.
In the cosmos, children in the
space lane.
I'm an adult in a spaceship.
Supersonic space lane screamed to life and the vehicle swooped upward. On board, the passengers experienced 3 G's of force from the burst of extreme acceleration and watched the blue sky fade into space.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Oh, yeah.
In the back have been cleared to unstrap.
Yes. Do it, Richard. Do it, Jeff. Do it for humanity.
To all you kids down there, I was once a child with a dream. Now I'm an adult in a spaceship.
He can accomplish it. You can too. Big windows, cool. Rocket ship, cool. Space plane, cool.
Nukes,
cool.
Blowing stuff up,
cool. Space plane, astronaut, rocket ship.
Serious anchor.
We have Bezos, a human. Just look at him. Go to the bathroom in bags.
Toilets!
He can go to the bathroom in the cosmos.
Toilets!
He changed everything. Wives in space, children in the cosmos. With your best friend, brother. Wives in the cosmos, children in the space lane.
We are headed to space.
Those that are wise, they shall shine. It's the brightness of the firmament, and they that turn many to righteousness as the stars forever.
Bye.
I'm out of here. Bye.
Canary, cry back support.